Interviews and stress, am I right? Doesn't matter if you're brand new to the workforce or a seasoned professional, interviewing is tough. Doesn't matter if you love it or if you hate it, it's a necessity if you want to get the job. Now, what causes a lot of this anxiety and the stress? The unknown. What are they going to ask me? Where is it going to take place? Will I freeze up? Will I do well? So how do we address the unknown and take a little stress and the mystery out of the interviewing? Well, we're going to let you in on a couple of our secrets. I'm James Kemper with W.H. Maynard and Associates, the manufacturing and the engineering recruiter. And I'm here to take a little bit of the mystery out of the interviewing process by giving you 5 things that you must do before you interview. Now, let's be honest, interviewing is not much different than public speaking. To be successful at it, you have to be prepared and confident in your answers or your presentation. When you've done your homework, you're going to be more relaxed and more confident during that crucial time. Being nervous is okay, but then you got to be focused and keep your eye on the prize, which in this case is landing that job. So let's dive right in. Point number 1, you have to be one with your resume. You got to know your resume backwards and forwards. But believe me, they've gone over it as well. And so always go into that interview with the belief that they have reviewed your information and know it as closely as you do. And that's everything from experience to work experience, projects, education. Particularly important if you've had somebody write your resume for you, which a lot of people do to make it a little more professional. So if you're unsure, if you don't know, or if your answers don't match up with what's written down, that's going to be a really big red flag for them. So know your information backwards and forwards, which then leads us into tip number 2, know the job opportunity. It's not enough just to give that job description a cursory glance and say, I've done this. I know how to do this. It's not a problem. Done it before, etc., etc. Bravado in this case is not going to get it done for you. But what will get it done is a little more preparation. The people interviewing you, they're going to want to know how you're going to do the job, why you'd be good at it, and what makes you believe that you can do what you're saying. So you've got to study every aspect of the job so you have a better grasp on the skills that the manager is going to want and need. So ponder those skills, ponder the experience that you've collected and developed, and know why you're going to be a good fit for that company. And that then leads us into point number 3. You got to know the company completely. Now, sadly enough, very few people go into interviews with an understanding or even know what the company does. And it's not enough also just to know the product line, which is also important, but what actually the company stands for and what they do. So it doesn't take a lot of time to go to the website and not just look at the product line and things that they've done, but check out their press releases. Look at some of the things that they've done, events they've attended or they sponsored. So when you see what they've done and what they're doing, you can also match that up pretty well with what you've done. And thus they know you better and get a better fit for this role. So once again, preparation is key. Know the job, know the company, know yourself. Which then leads us into point number 4, body language. Your actions and body language should convey your interest and enthusiasm for the role while still being poised and professional. Everyone knows that interviewing is stressful, and a lot of companies will ratchet up that stress level to see how you're going to react under pressure. So if you come across as poised and confident, you're going to subtly, or maybe not so subtly, show that you're going to be calm, cool, and collected in a crisis. And that will pay very well in your favor. Oh, and how do we ensure that you're going to be calm, cool, and collected? That's right, preparation. And that leads us into our final, and in my opinion, probably our most important point, is have questions ready. Now, the standard interview process, we all know, is the interviewer goes in, sits down, interviewer asks him a battery of questions, he answers it, gets up, goes home, thinks he's done well. And that's all well and good. But it's not necessarily all that they want to see in that interview process. So prepare 3 to 5 questions that you can have prior to that interview. Because you've come in and you've already shown that you know about the company, you already know the job, you know your resume backwards and forwards. So you've done all that information and you don't have any questions. That just might give them a signal that you're really not that interested in the role, which is not necessarily what you want to do. Now, one of the benefits as well of having these questions ready is that it's going to also give you a good idea if this company is going to be a good fit for you based on how they answer those different questions. And they don't actually have to be all that complicated. You can ask them something simple like, why do you like working here? And based on that response, you can also gauge if it is an opportunity or company that you want to work with. Because let's face it, people like to talk about their jobs. They like to talk about what they do. And if they don't come across as compelling, that could be a red flag for you about the role. And the other point about why it's good to have these questions ready is no matter how well you have prepared and readied for that interview, things can happen. You can brain lock, you can get distracted, you can just completely go blank. And if you don't have some questions that you can follow up on, that you can just ask in that crucial moment. And while they're answering, you're able to, collect your thoughts, a little bit of composure. And who knows, they may not even notice that an event had happened like that. So it's a good way to keep everything good and calm. So those are our 5 tips that we have used over the years with all of our candidates, working on them to get prepared when they go into interviews, and it had good success with that. And while I'm sitting here, I'm actually going to give you one bonus tip. And this is actually a big one that's really been very successful for all the candidates that we've worked with. And I'm going to put it out there because, unfortunately, not a lot of people are actually going to do this. But it all plays in very well with these 5 questions and points that we've had beforehand. And that's put together a career presentation. Now, it really should be no more than 7 minutes max long. It can be PowerPoint, it can be audiovisual, it can be handouts, or it could just be you sitting there and speaking in front of them. So you've already done your research on the company. You've already really researched and got a good idea on the job description, and you know that your resume backwards and forwards. So why would putting together a presentation like this be effective? Well, first off, it is going to address many of those very initial questions that they're going to ask you in one fell swoop. Things like, tell us about yourself, and why you think you'd be a good fit, and how would you handle a situation like this, or how would you manage a project like this? And so in those 7 minutes, you've addressed all of those questions. So their questions then to you are going to be follow-up from what you've just given them. And really simply, you go in, you sit down, you greet the interviewers, and you say, if you don't mind, I've actually put together just a little short presentation for you. And they're going to certainly enjoy that, because then they get an idea of how your presentation skills are, and the fact you've taken the initiative to do something like that. So you've done all of that. The questions that you've actually got are warm instead of cold, which goes all the way back to our very beginning point about the unknown and about that fear and what that creates stress. In those initial 5 minutes, you've actually set the stage to get answers that you can work with based on that information that's provided. And when done very effectively for a shortened time, you're actually running that interview. And even at the worst case, you're going to be on equal footing with them as well. And don't think for a moment that that's not going to be noticed. Well, those are my 5 tips and one bonus to work on. James Kemper with W.H. Meaner & Associates. And hey, if you got a chance, come to our website, www.whmeaner, that's MEANOR.com. You can check out a lot of the industry news, our articles, as well as some of our past webinars and other information that we've done. And hey, check out our job page too. Oh, stay tuned though for our next presentation, which will be in about another week. And that's going to be 5 tips on what you must do after the interview. So again, James Kemper, thank you for your time, and talk to you soon.